Good morning or good afternoon, depending upon where you're located here in these United States. And welcome to MiHUB Monday. And my name is Scott Phillips, and I'm your host and the director of the MBDA Advanced Manufacturing Center here in Baltimore, operated by the City of Baltimore and grantee of the U.S. Department of Commerce Minority Business Development Agency. Exciting to be here today to talk about Minority Made in America. We do these sessions about once a month to highlight some of the activities that are taking place in the minority manufacturing community, with a specific focus usually on the Mid-Atlantic, but today is a little different. There are 4 Advanced Manufacturing Center programs located around the United States. And today we also have a good friend who has been working in the manufacturing space with her center in Atlanta, Georgia. So I'll have an opportunity to introduce each of our panelists in a minute. Our agenda today will also include, as we always like to do, a highlight of one of our Advanced Manufacturing Center clients, who happens to also be the president of the MiHUB Cooperative, Ms. Cynthia Rumph. We're really excited about today's session. We hope that as you listen to the panelists, you'll find opportunities to engage one of the centers or to engage the MiHUB Cooperative. Or you may figure out how you might become a resource to one of the centers or to the cooperative. So let's get started today. I did want to make a reminder, and I'll mention it again later in the hour. We have our National Med Week coming up in September. I'll have those dates before we close out, but the National Med Week. And National Med Week is open to entrepreneurs, all minority entrepreneurs. It'll be held in Washington, D.C. So we'll have more details about that, and we'll put that information in the chat shortly. So let's get started. Today, we have with us Ms. Cynthia Rumph, who is the CEO of Fashion Spa House and the president of the MiHUB Cooperative. We also have Javid. Now, Javid, I'm going to get this wrong, Hajavaziri, excuse me, and I've known Javid a long time, so I apologize, Javid, who is the director of the Advanced Manufacturing Center in San Antonio, Texas. We have Sundar Atre, who is the director of the Advanced Manufacturing Center in Louisville, Kentucky. And we have my good friend, Donna Ennis, who is the director of the MBDA Business Center located in Georgia and sponsored by Georgia Tech. Also, you will see on the screen our project administrator, Lieutenant Mildred Uday, who many of you have come to know and engage with, at least through social media or through email or phone, and Mark Lawrence, who is our consultant who manages our work with the MiHUB Cooperative. So today, I'm really excited to start our conversation with our client highlight. And this young lady is dynamic, to say the least. She, as I mentioned, she is the president and CEO of Fashion Spa House. And she's going to talk about Fashion Spa House and what they do. But one of the things that I want to congratulate her on is being one of the first firms, actually the first firm, to come through what is called the Launchpad program at BWI Airport here in Maryland. The BWI Thurgood Marshall Airport had a program where they brought in minority businesses and placed them in kiosks to give them an opportunity to learn how to do business in the airport and then to grow into their own store. And so the first graduate of the BWI Thurgood Marshall Launchpad program is our client, our friend, Ms. Cynthia Rumph. So Cynthia, why don't you talk a little bit about Fashion Spa House, about your journey, and then we're going to end up talking a little bit about MiHUB and how you came to that and how you see that as an asset for minority business.
Hi, good morning, afternoon, everyone. As Scott said, I am the CEO and founder of Fashion Spa House, which is a specialty retail operation that creates and curates products for self-care enthusiasts. So I too, at the core of everything I do, I am a manufacturer, right? And so coming up with a brand like Fashion Spa House was, of course, to create products for pain points for people like myself. So it's products, events, and services. And going through a program like Launchpad to have exposure and access in a humongous business model like the airport was a huge undertaking, because not only did it allow me to evaluate, assess, make changes, and then evaluate and assess on a constant basis of what my business was in itself, it allowed me to do that in this new business model, the airport, which is ever changing. Participating in MiHUB allowed me to sit with a group of peers, a group of advisors, and it became a community to consistently brainstorm as I began to evaluate how I fit into the airport and who I was in that positioning. What were the best terms and avenues for me to continue my growth as a business owner? So I was developing and tweaking and assessing and improving myself, my business, as I grew in this phenomenal program that they had at the airport.
Now, let me ask you a quick question, because you didn't really talk about your background and how you even came to become an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I have been a nurse since 1994, and I suffer from eczema really bad. And I became a nurse initially because I wanted to help myself better understand myself, because eczema was something I suffered with from childhood. And I remember feeling like there was just this cut and paste solution to eczema, and it wasn't working. And so I created this skincare line back in 2006 for me and my children. And we developed a wellness concept. That's where the word spa comes from in the company name. And as it evolved, we knew that spa helped people on their wellness journey, even if their entry point was like, oh, this is something I'm going to do for myself occasionally. We helped them to understand how wellness was a part of a better life management. And so as a nurse, I applied what I knew about the body and health, and help people along their journey to just make better choices.
So let me ask you this, because often we have people who get, who engage in as entrepreneurs. Most minority entrepreneurs are in a services business. Fewer are in manufacturing. Why did you decide to not only kind of do the retail piece, but to do everything leading up to getting the product on the shelves?
I have an affinity for quality assurance. Even in nursing, I was the director of quality assurance. So it takes a special brain, right? A type A personality to the nth power to want to not only deliver excellence, but to also track it and monitor it to the nth. And so quality assurance is an important part of manufacturing, A through Z. And so that's just a part of my makeup. I could easily hire scientists and let them make my product and put a label on it. But to my core, I want to monitor the ingredient makeup. I want to monitor the outcomes. And so the nurse in me wants to make sure that it works for you, but the manufacturer in me wants to make sure that every step of the process also works for you and it gets you the outcome that you need.
So let's talk a little bit about MiHUB and what the cooperative, and you kind of mentioned it a little bit early on, the cooperative concept can do to support other manufacturers.
So most entrepreneurs are, I just call them baby geniuses, right? Because I truly feel like there's a difference between an entrepreneur and a business owner. A business owner can purchase a business, a thing that makes them money, right? An entrepreneur is a creator of a thing that creates them wealth or makes them money. So an entrepreneur can create a thing and be very passionate about the thing, but they sometimes do not have that business acumen, that A through Z operational genius to make sure that the operations and the systems and the back end operate functionally like it should. Something like MiHUB, like with what I went through with you all, it checks in the person, the business health, the monitoring the numbers, that community that you need, because being an entrepreneur can be very lonely. You know, we all operate in silos sometimes. People around us aren't engineered like us. And so MiHUB serves as the community, the components of business, the caring, the wraparound, and all entrepreneurs need that.
So, you know, I have one of those African phrases that I like to use, and I thank you for providing that background, which is, you know, if you want to go fast, you go alone, but if you want to go far, you go together. And that's what we're attempting to do with MiHUB, and you're a wonderful example of bringing that home. One of the things that we most recently did, and we thank you for stepping up, was to put governance around it, because the whole concept of the cooperative is that the manufacturers themselves own it, they build it, they manage it, they make it pivot when the time comes and it needs to pivot, but supporting each other and investing in each other, I think, is the key to that concept, which is a little different than some of the innovation labs and just the workspace. Just something more than just happening to be in the same space.
Right.
So I think we're working. I know you're working on collecting what we call best cases or best practices from around the country. You just recently went to Atlanta, and I know you've been over to Northern Virginia. You want to talk about some of the things that you've seen in similar programs?
Yeah, so I have in my effort to be the best entrepreneur I can be, of course, I've gone through several programs to help small business owners. And so as the president of MiHUB, I want to continue learning as much as I could. So some recent models I've looked at is Saltbox, which is amazing on the logistic end, because you all know things have to move, and they always will. And then I just visited the Rice Center 2 days ago in Atlanta. And so they both have very different approaches. They serve two different pieces of entrepreneurship. And so what I really liked about Saltbox, it was the end of the road. So we're done with product, finding, developing, growing, scaling. We're now delivering it to the customer. And whether that was B2B or B2C, right? And they really have fine-tuned that piece, plus space and storage. They have fine-tuned that. They know where they are with that. And they have space for you to come in with a really small product and grow from that. And they have the logistics to support that. Rice, on the other hand, I mean, they start as small as concept to scale. They have support around that. They have community partners around that, along with space. And then I met with a very enthusiastic guy who's bringing in a bit of logistics on the end. And so they're just now introducing that. And UPS is going to be doing a ribbon cutting there next month to introduce that piece. So there is so much excitement around entrepreneurship and made in America. If you are a maker in America, this is the time to join. It's awesome.
And we want to see folks go from this idea of a maker to a major manufacturer, right? And that's really where I see the MBDA Advanced Manufacturing Centers coming in, which is a great segue for me to introduce my colleagues from around the country. And so I'll start with Sundar, who will introduce himself. I'm going to ask Javid to turn on his camera and he will introduce himself. And Donna, ask you to introduce yourselves. We'll move over here and let everybody see everybody. And Sundar, why don't you're the kind of new kid on the block, right? So you're the most recent grantee of the MBDA Advanced Manufacturing Center program there in Louisville, Kentucky. Talk to us about your program and how you help clients like Cynthia.
Thanks, Scott, and thanks for putting this panel together. I think, as you said, trying to build this to go far together is something that I buy into, and I've already had some good conversations and early interactions with some of my colleagues like Donna, Mark from a while ago, and Javed as well. So my background is I'm a faculty at the University of Louisville. I'm an endowed chair in manufacturing and materials. So the idea of taking our program in manufacturing and materials and the opportunity to be able to serve minority-owned businesses was a passion that I started ever since I got into this about 7 years ago at Louisville. And it's slowly coming into fruition in terms of what we can accomplish. In terms of firstly offering technology support in emerging areas of manufacturing, specifically focusing on 3D printing based technologies as well as energy based technologies. So those are the starting points that we are building off because we have strong programs in that area. And being able to connect our resources in terms of not only the staff, but also the students as a talent pipeline, as well as faculty in terms of being able to provide some of the technical connectivity, the professional network, ongoing programs in entrepreneurship. I think Cynthia talked eloquently about the needs of an entrepreneur and the drive and the passion that goes with that. I myself come with a background of about 25 years in entrepreneurship and spinning off various things to various levels of success. But the one that I was most passionate about, I failed because I didn't have that type of a support structure. The one that made the biggest impact, at least financially and maybe socially, is in the area of portable kidney dialysis, which started out as a lab project within a few groups and is currently publicly listed with a market cap of over $2 billion. But it started out, small, and it started out with a lot of pain points. And so being able to relate to businesses that are small, and especially those that are further marginalized in terms of access, as are minority-owned businesses. This would be, an area that would be quite exciting for us. Our approach has been at the one level, being able to work with the Tri-State Minority Supplier Development Council for being able to reach out at least in the vicinity, get some success stories going as we are just setting about doing our work. And since that is part of the national network, the NMSDC, we have a chance to be able to work with large corporations that are major proponents of supply chain diversity, supplier diversity initiatives. Toyota is a good local example over here. GE is another. And we are hoping to be able to take that connectivity and be able to ready minority-owned business manufacturers in particular to be able to successfully bid for jobs for these entities. President Biden's program, America so AM Forward, AM including additive manufacturing as well as advanced manufacturing, has in particular connected to a lot of the aerospace and the energy sector, which are core, constituencies in terms of business opportunity for minority-owned businesses. We offer a Lean Launchpad program for entrepreneurs, and we've been hosting events that we are hoping, training events that we hope that can connect to the larger fraternity over here and be able to play a role in helping others in complementary areas while we ourselves are learning how to move things forward here. Thanks, Scott.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm on mute. But that is, you got a lot going on, particularly in the tech space. And I wanted to ask you, because you've mentioned a number of relationships, and I know in our programs it's important to have those stakeholders that we work with. So you mentioned the tri-state area MDC, Minority Development Council. How often do you engage with them? Do you do referrals back and forth between your program and the Minority Development Council in your area for clients? How is that relationship working? Also, have you found the ability to bring some of the professors in to communicate with your clients and leveraging the university's resources?
Thanks, Scott. 2 questions. I'll try to get that going. So the Tri-State Minority Supplier Development Council, that has a local presence in Louisville, and we've worked with them over the last 4 years to try to see, even before this program came into being. So far, we've got a couple of really good referrals through their program. They are one of our partners in terms of not only working to promote and advertise and champion the MBDA work and the work of MBDA Advanced Manufacturing Centers in this region, but so that is one type of work that we do. They have also worked closely with one of the MBEs that we had brought in that does training in virtual training in advanced manufacturing, and so they have looked to promote their activity. I think Donna and Javed have tried to talk to these people as well. So that would be one specific example. In terms of faculty engagement, I think that's one of the complementary things that I can bring, not only for our Advanced Manufacturing Center, but also the others in the MBDA umbrella, because that is crucial, I feel, either from the training or from the talent pipeline, or for being able to have technology access or draw in from the professional network. I felt that although a lot of the MBDA Advanced Manufacturing Centers, such as Georgia Tech, UT, San Antonio, I think they have been affiliated or are based in a university environment. It's a complex environment, and it's hard when you're not a faculty to reach out to faculty and get their buy-in while they're busy teaching courses and doing other things that they feel is their primary drive. And so being able to be a spokesperson for that, not only here, but for the larger fraternity over here, I feel could help move the needle a little bit more in terms of getting minority-owned businesses better access to the talent pipeline and to new and technology training, and be able to help vet new technologies that they may be considering to invest in, because resources are scarce as it is. And if there's no one to caution them in terms of what to stay away from, which is probably a bigger benefit than what to get into, I think that could be quite a bit of work that can be done. So I'm excited again, and I think these are some early areas that we see we can, in a complementary manner, help implement the MBDA mission with our vision.
Well, Sundar, you actually, I think you created another topic for us for another MiHUB Monday. We'll talk about leveraging university resources. And I've got 3 university representatives here, so this is kind of exciting, to which we're going to move over, because I know down in San Antonio, they do a lot of work more on what I would call the industrial side of things for manufacturing. They're right there on the border, and so they have a lot of relationships over, at least in Mexico at a minimum. So Javid, why don't you introduce yourself and let's talk about what happens down in San Antonio.
Thank you, Scott, and hello everyone. Javid Hajwaziri with the San Antonio MBDA Advanced Manufacturing Center, the University of Texas at San Antonio. For more than 40 years, the UTSA Institute for Economic Development has hosted a variety of business development centers at the local, regional, and national levels. The Institute works with the resource partners, including the Department of Commerce, Minority Business Development Agency, and Small Business Administration. UTSA operates 3 MBDA business and specialty centers under one roof: the San Antonio MBDA Business Center, Export Center, and Advanced Manufacturing Center act as a one-stop shop to assist minority-owned firms. Our 3 centers collectively serve the manufacturing industry, construction industry, IT industry, and businesses in the service sector. We serve minority firms from all around the country. Our 3 MBDA centers have a weekly meeting to share experience, market opportunities, and financial resources. We serve clients in different industries, including prime contractors and Tier 1 and Tier 2 suppliers in the automotive and the Department of Defense supply chains, manufacturers and engineering firms in the energy sector, medical device manufacturers, and the electronic and telecommunication industry. Also, we have recently expanded our footprint in the apparel and food industry. We collaborate with internal and external strategic partners. The UTSA Institute for Economic Development hosts dozens of business development centers, such as the SBDC and PTAC centers, the Technology Commercialization Center, and the Trade Adjustment Center. We also collaborate with the UTSA Center for Advanced Manufacturing and Lean Systems, the Center for Sustainable Energy, and the Center for Professional Excellence, and the Center for Cybersecurity Program. We also collaborate with the Manufacturing Extension Partnership, MEP network, in different states. Concerning our business development services, we provide business assessment, industry analysis, and market research services. We provide business-to-business and business-to-government matchmaking and referral services as well. We facilitate access to financing opportunities in conventional and alternative lending. In addition to the services we provide directly to minority firms, we also collaborate with OEMs and large prime contractors, and we help their supplier diversity teams find qualified minority firms based on their qualification criteria. This is the package of services we provide directly and indirectly to minority businesses. Scott, back to you.
Well, Javid, you've been doing this for a very long time, and I know you talked about kind of combining all of the programs that MBDA has. You're one of the few centers that really have kind of the gamut of MBDA business centers. And so congratulations to you on that.
Thank you.
When you look at bringing in new clients, a lot of times people don't have a perspective of how you engage with MBDA Advanced Manufacturing Centers. You want to talk about how you engage a client?
That's a very good question. I can answer this question by the role we consider for us. We consider our center and our team as master consultant for a small minority business. Of course, we cannot cover A to Z of the services and needs of all MBEs in different industries, but we can manage and we can provide a good picture of the available resources, the priority of using these resources based on each company's business life cycle, and provide them with a package right for their business development priorities. This is what we usually do for our clients with an in-depth business assessment, and then we customize our service plan based on their business development priorities. Sometimes we start by referring them to other centers in order to get the initial services. Sometimes we refer them to technology centers in order to have a contact person for their technology issues. And in the majority of time, when the company is established and ready to scale, we get in and start working with them in the market side, the resource side, workforce development, productivity improvement, and so on.
I wanted you to share that because as I see it, and we do similar work, and as I see it, we're really, as centers, have the flexibility to meet a client where they are, assess what they need, and then figure out how to bring those resources to bear. And I know you guys have been doing that very well for a very long time. And another center that's been doing it very well for a very long time is the Georgia Business Center, formerly the Atlanta Business Center, as well as a former Advanced Manufacturing Center. And Donna has not let it go. So she has continued to maintain this relationship in the manufacturing space. And I thought we would be remiss not to have you. I don't want to call you the senior fellow, but you're kind of like the senior fellow in all of this, Donna. But to have you kind of share what's still taking place in Atlanta and how you view engaging minority manufacturers and helping us to grow minority manufacturers across the country. Donna, you're on mute, so we're gonna get you off mute.
There you go. Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Scott, and glad to be here with my fellow colleagues, David and Sundar. And Cynthia, congratulations to you as well. The next time you're in Atlanta, you cannot come to Atlanta and go over there with Jay and the Russell Center without calling me. I say that because we all work together, and it's a great time to be a manufacturer. It's an excellent time to be in Atlanta with our ecosystem. So I'm not going to kind of go back over a lot of the services, Scott, because I think Sundar and Javi did a great job of discussing and talking about what we all do as centers. We're a lot like Javi in that we're at a university, and we're also at the Enterprise Innovation Institute. Javi mentioned the Economic Development Group at UTSA. Well, at Georgia Tech, I'm hosted. We're located within our Enterprise Innovation Institute, which is Georgia Tech's old Economic Development and Outreach Service Center, like UTSA, and the oldest university-led economic development group. So we have, a lot of the programs, including the MBDA program that's focused on growing and developing companies, particularly manufacturing companies, small businesses, and technology companies. We have two, Javi mentioned the Manufacturing Extension Partnership Program. We actually have one of the oldest MEPs right in our unit, so I have access to those resources. I think Javi, UTSA has a TAC program, which is the Trade Adjustment Assistance Center for Manufacturers. They have, I think, the Southwest one. We have the Southeast TAC. So we're a lot alike in terms of how we are able to work with and access companies. We are all things technology and manufacturing at Georgia Tech. So Scott, that's why I cannot let it go. So we don't have a center, but we moved all of our manufacturing initiatives and programs under our business center. So manufacturing has become a vertical in the business center, just like construction is one of our verticals, as well as technology is a major vertical within our center. As with most MBDA centers, we operate in 4 pillars. Access to opportunities, assisting companies with closing deals and getting opportunities, sourcing capital. Some people say access to capital. We say sourcing capital.
Okay.
Help companies find capital from soup to nuts, whether it's debt all the way to equity. We have capacity building. So Cynthia, congratulations to you, because going through these programs and MiHUB and stuff like that helps build stronger and better companies. And then our 4th major pillar, and I think Havid and Sundar, all of us have spoken to that today, is the access to resources and expertise. So just think of those 4 pillars, and that's typically what most of our centers operate in. We have a very, very strong partnership with our Georgia Tech Manufacturing Institute. So we actually help companies with new product development, materials, like Sundar talked about, new materials. We're all things, again, advanced manufacturing here. So we're really focused on AI or artificial intelligence or augmented reality and VR in manufacturing at this point in time. One of the things I do want to make a comment about with Cynthia's thing is, we see a gap in our minority, or really, it's not even minority, it's small manufacturers. Because like I said, we're all things manufacturing here. So a lot of times it's not about being minority, it's just you're a manufacturer, and this is the problem, right? So we see that there's this group of manufacturers. The move from working in your garage or your home to getting a facility is a gap right there. And so you're not, we've gotten a ton of calls around outsourcing and contract, and it's a gap. We've been looking all over the country. And so we're working with, a number of organizations to figure out how to make those maker spaces more conducive to companies that are moving from, say, their garage and their home. They've got enough, or they just don't have enough revenue to go into a facility, but they have too much opportunity to still make their product out of their home or their garage. So to my colleagues here, I would love to work with you. That, Cynthia probably would agree, that is a challenge nationwide, and it's a challenge with manufacturers, small manufacturers. It's not and of course our focus is minority manufacturers, but food, clothing, now that more cut and sew operations are coming back to the United States, that's a problem. Before you just outsourced it to China or, Vietnam or Thailand now, but that's changed. A lot of especially as the new technologies that are related to fabric and wearable technology and stuff like that is coming online. A lot of our companies are having difficulties figuring out how to move from, their kitchen or their home, the garage, to some kind of facility. So I think, Scott, that would be a great opportunity for us to take on as a group to figure that problem out. Let me see. We have a logistics institute, one of the biggest supply chain logistics institute in the world, that does all kinds of fancy stuff around moving product all over the world. And they did quite a bit of work with big companies and stuff when COVID hit, the supply chain was still is a mess. So everybody's trying to dig themselves out of the hole with the supply chain. So we do a number of things, like I said, from soup to nuts, everything from helping with site selection, in helping our companies get resources to the states on tax incentives and things like that, to process improvement. We do quite a bit. I think Havid or Sundar might have mentioned lean. We do, we have those resources. We're small. I think most of us have a small staff. So we really, really, really leverage the expertise and resources side. And Havid sort of, he was spot on when he said master consultant. because it's almost like we have certain expertise. You know, I have somebody internally that sources capital, but if we need to do an equity deal, we need to find somebody that can do the equity deal for us, or help our clients do the equity deal. And I think that's a big part of how important the MBDA system is, that network. And then I'm gonna close by saying two things. We do an annual National MBE Summit. We've launched in 2016. It's the only one focused on just MBE manufacturers in the country. All of my colleagues except Sundar have participated because Sundar is new, and then we went into COVID, so we had it virtually last year. But we do have matchmaking. Our theme this year is developing the workforce for the future, not of the future, but for the future, because that changes. And then we always have a technology showcase and education, but we do have a full afternoon of matchmaking. And this year we have a manufacturing tour, but we're going to do something this year differently. Instead of touring a big plant like we did Kia one year, we took a group down to the Kia plant, which is just high tech and awesome. We're going to be touring MBE manufacturers this year. So we're really excited about that. And last but not least, you see behind me the Southeast MBDA Business Growth Hub. It is a pilot project that MBDA funded, and it is funding for us to figure out how to connect the vast number of entrepreneur ecosystems that exist in the Southeast. So we've been 2 years in research and working, and now we're about to launch a pilot with a group of business service organizations to kind of figure out, how do we connect with, well, you guys are not in the Southeast, but if it were national, how would we connect companies from MiHUB back into, say Georgia Tech or some other business service organization that may have what you need. We know that there's a big food organization that's not in Georgia. So all of our companies that, may be into food manufacturing could connect up to that. So we're working on that. So that's it in a nutshell.
All right. Well, Donna, you've always got a lot going on, and you've created kind of a model program for the minority entrepreneurs in the Southeast and around the country. And so many of us kind of follow your lead. So thank you for all that you do. I did have a couple of questions that came out just from me. One of the reasons that we created the Cooperative, you spent a little bit of time talking about how do we take these makers, if you will, and grow them and scale them. And so the idea, even the sewers, if you will, or clothing manufacturers, or however you want to look at them, one of the things that we've done in Baltimore is just got them communicating with each other. Right? We haven't found a standard space, but we're looking at creating a space where there will be shared technology, shared equipment, shared back office, because that is growing even in the Mid-Atlantic, particularly in the Baltimore metropolitan area. And that's how we look at the co-op, as providing some opportunity to do that. And then, one of the things that I see we can do is, because we touch base with so many different clients, it's figuring out how to connect them, put them together in the room to figure out how to solve their own problems. And that's been a theme for us out of our center. Now, we started to get some questions, and so I guess we ought to field some questions. And this is a great one, and I know Sundar may already be answering, but I'm going to give the panelists an opportunity to answer as well. Deborah Thompson asks, how can local coaches and counselors assist the MBDA with these manufacturers to make that move more smoothly? Because they don't get steady transactions a lot of time and low cash flows, so they cannot perfect the loan program. They want to understand how smaller counselors can assist MBDA. Now, I have an answer for that, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna give it to one of our panelists. Donna, I'm sure you've been doing this a lot, and I know that you've had people come to you to say, look, I can offer some services. How do you engage some of the smaller counselors?
It's all about funding, because nobody works for free. Nobody works for free. So, when we had the CARES and coronavirus, funding, because of that, we were able to really engage a lot of contractors to help us on the ground coach companies. So we did that. There are a couple of models that I know. There's one model that because we're at a university and we're a state organization, we cannot appear to endorse any company. So we've had an entrepreneur in residence program where we've had coaches and advisors serve as EIRs that work with that program. And if a company wants to engage them outside of the center, then they're free to do that. So we've given coaches and local individuals an opportunity through our entrepreneur in residence programs.
So, you know what, Donna, particularly thank you for mentioning the CARES Act, because I will share, for those who are in the Baltimore metropolitan area, we were fortunate enough to get an extension on our CARES Act funding. And so if you're not aware and you are interested, please reach out to the Baltimore MBDA.com, reach out to us, and we will put you in contact with our CARES Act project manager. Now, the CARES Act, for many of us, as Donna mentioned, allowed us to identify a challenge with a client and then go out and find a resource to assist that client, whether that was a marketing issue, supply chain issue, social media development, kind of name it. And then engage these smaller counselors, if you will, or counselors with unique skills to apply their resources and their skill sets to address a client's problem. We've done some of that internally with our center now. We actually set aside some of our funding, Donna, to specifically, similar to the CARES Act, to specifically identify resources with skills that may have been along a technology vein or a specific manufacturing skill set vein to apply to our clients. So for Ms. Thompson, you can reach out to us and we may have an opportunity for you, but we like you to stay close to us so we can apply that.
Can I add one more quick thing?
Sure.
Because it came in my mind. So for the people on the line, and not knowing where you're from, you may want to check with your local cities and counties as well, because many of them have funding that has allowed that where they're actually hiring small businesses and coaches and stuff to provide specific services to companies. And so, for example, here in Atlanta, they have a resurgence fund where the companies can apply for a grant, but with that, they have access to technical assistance. But the city of Atlanta has actually hired service providers, small businesses and Georgia and large ones, but they hire Georgia Tech as well, to do that work. So that might be another way you can tap into it.
Yeah, so there was another question that came in, and this is very specific to our region, and it's how does the city or state attract companies to establish manufacturing facilities in Baltimore? And so to Keith, I will say, if you contact us again, our local development entity is the Baltimore Development Corporation, and we work along with them to identify both facilities and support, both from a financial perspective and a technical assistance perspective, to bring manufacturers into the local area. We're not strictly limited to Baltimore City, so we're doing the same work in the surrounding counties. So if you're interested in establishing a manufacturing facility, please reach out to us and we'll be glad to assist you. Let's kind of go back to the general, the larger picture from a national perspective. And Donna, you talked about advocacy. As Sundar and Javid, what would you consider some of the areas where you've spent the greatest amount of time from an advocacy perspective? Because a lot of people don't know that that's one of the things that we do from an advocacy perspective around manufacturing, and more specifically around minority manufacturing. And I'll share some of the work that we're doing in Baltimore as well. Sundar, you want to address that?
Thanks, Scott. There are two areas of advocacy that our center, in the short time it's been around, has been focusing on. One is we're working with leadership at OEMs to directly get involved in working with us so that we can help MBEs bid on projects more effectively. And so in that sense, it can be a potential win-win. And we are trying to work that part of the relationship on the one side. And it's a work in progress, but I feel that it might have, finally, the work that I do is irrelevant until and unless a minority-owned business lands contracts and keeps it and finds ways to grow. Universities are not doing that work. So, it might be in certain cases be able to find some things, but I think that's one big opportunity that I see. The second part that we are trying to work with a couple of government-based organizations, especially in the which are the Small Business Administration and the Department of Defense and so on, is to be able to find ways in which we might be able to, or our faculty might be able to assist in some of the acquiring funding through the SBIR programs or the STTR programs. So again, nascent stage, but we saw that there were two ways in which we could look at making a direct impact in addition to other longer term benefits in terms of training and recommending graduates to explore this domain. So I'll, because I haven't done much, let me just shut up and let other people talk.
No, I'm curious about Javed as well. And I asked that question because once again, as Donna said, and we've all said, we've got a number of things that we're really responsible to do as part of our grant program. And one of the things, we talk about access to capital, we talk about access to opportunities, we talk about strategic consulting, but I don't think we talk enough about the advocacy role that we play. So thank you, Sundar, because that's an important role. How about you, Javed?
Advocacy is an integral part of our business model. We follow this approach, I can say, at least at 4 different levels. At the local level, we have a MedBit consortium, and we have many local entities and local government representatives in our MedBit consortium. We have our San Antonio MedBit in the first week of October each year. This year we have the 39th. At the national level, we work with the MBDA headquarters in order to talk to other federal agencies and provide opportunities to share their knowledge and resources with our network. For instance, we co-hosted 2 webinars with the Department of Energy Advanced Manufacturing Office this year. We also co-hosted a webinar with Amazon Small Business Academy 2 times. And we also collaborate with OEMs and large organizations and try to convince them to allocate more contracting and subcontracting opportunities to minority businesses. We pre-vet minority businesses all around the country based on their qualification criteria. We have a close collaboration, let's say, with Siemens Mobility in Sacramento, California, Sandia Labs, Office Research Institute, HEB, recently new headquarters coming to Texas, Austin, Tesla mega factory in Austin. So these are the type of collaborations we have with different type of organization for the advocacy.
While I'm doing this, I'm trying to put a few things in the chat. Oh, Donna, you've already gotten it. I think I'll make sure this gets out to everyone. Hold on a second. That is the National MBE Manufacturers session. Got that? Wanted to make sure we gave everyone an opportunity to mention things that are taking place that you want people to know about. And I'm actually going to go back, because we've kind of not had her participate as much just this last few minutes, and that's with Cynthia. And Cynthia, I know you've got a lot of things going on, or there's some things that you want to draw people's attention to that perhaps I should put in the chat, or just that you want to mention, because we're beginning to wrap up.
I really want people to understand the benefits of being in these MBDA programs, because, you know, most entrepreneurs are very creative, like I stated before, but these areas that we lack, sometimes it being structure, sometimes opportunity, sometimes capital or space. So just to give an example to what Donna spoke to, getting out of your kitchen or getting out of your garage. So macroing that down a little bit. So for someone like me who produced a 58 t-shirt brand, going from one heat press to 6. I have a 32 product skincare line. The fact that I now need a floor model mixer versus a counter mixer, and knowing how to use staff appropriately for money producing items to justify how to pay them, when to pay them, when to use them, when to share them with someone else, so that I'm not bearing the whole fruit of their income. People are very lost, and I know I need to hire, but how? These are the things that you can learn at these MBDAs. It's no need to suffer in silence. It's no need to make costly mistakes. If I need a $6,000 machine and you're in beauty and she's in beauty, how about we share the machine? How about we share the staff? How about we share the space? But it makes no sense for everyone to be hurting and holding all this stuff in. This is what these centers are made for. And so MiHUB is a wonderful addition to help you. These guys and I didn't want to screw your names up, and Donna have identified that they can help you. There's opportunities here, and you should definitely reach out to them, because money likes speed. Time doesn't wait for anyone, and it's a wonderful time to be a manufacturer. But what time will not do is wait for you to figure it out.
Thank you, Cynthia. You're going to help us, and we're going to grow our clientele based on that testimonial. So we really appreciate it. I'm going to give everybody an opportunity to wrap up. It is 1:58, so we're pushing it to the end. Very quickly, Sundar, any last comments? You're on mute, Sundar.
It was great to meet everyone, and it's great to have all the attendees patiently listen to our viewpoints as well. I really look forward to being able to follow up with any interest that might be in any way we can from our expertise. Like Javed said, no one center can do all the different things required for a diverse range of people providing assistance. But we would be happy to figure out both with the participants as well as a panel, I think, in terms of what does follow-up look like, what does coordination look like. I'd be very interested in seeing that. And also hearing from our participants who are hearing this as to what type of coordination might help them in the best way.
Thank you, Sundar. And each one of the participants today will get a survey. And so if there are any comments or suggestions or recommendations and reaching out to us, we'll try to make sure we put everybody's contact information in the note that we send out. Javid, quick 30 seconds.
Glad to be part of this panel discussion today. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions. We have excellent MBDA centers in Baltimore, all around the country. Sundar, Donna in Atlanta, and as well as our centers in San Antonio. The door is open, and we would be glad to help you all. Thank you.
All right, Donna.
Well, I just want to say, hoorah, Cynthia. And I went with Scott, because I just used this at an event the other night. As Scott said, you know, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So to Cynthia's point, don't necessarily think of it as competition, think of it as collaboration, and how can we work together to build our manufacturers. I'll see all of you December 4th through 6th at the National MBE Manufacturer Summit.
All right, we shared that information. I also want to share a couple of things. In the chat, I put the information for the National Minority Enterprise Development Week, National Med Week in Washington, D.C. I believe those dates were the 18th through the 24th of September. Encourage all business owners. It's a wonderful opportunity from, business owners from around the country will be participating. Federal resources from all of the agencies, corporations. It's a great place to come and to network, but also to learn. So I encourage you to do that. A reminder about MiHUB. Yachena, our project administrator, is going to be mad at me because I put her phone number and her email in the chat. So anyone who's had a question that we didn't get to, please feel free to send that to Mildred at baltimorembda.com, and we will make sure we get back to you. My friend Mark Lawrence will be on me if I don't say our next couple of segments. One will be on innovation and innovation resources. The next one, it won't be the next one, but the MBDA has announced the new undersecretary. I say that very happily. The MBDA is now a permanent agency of the federal government, Department of Commerce. And so instead of having a director, we've raised it to the undersecretary, Mr. Don Cravens. And so he is tentatively on the schedule to visit with us in October. So we're really excited. We want to have you back next month and in October and in the months to come. Hopefully this information was helpful to you. And if you have topics you'd like us to bring forward in the months to come, please send us a note and we'll be glad to add it. Thank you all very much for joining MiHUB Monday. We'll see you next month.